Design Leader Insights is brought to you by Fuego UX, a UX research, strategy, and design consultancy. Hi, Gloria. Thanks so much for joining the show today.
Yeah, Alex, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And to get started, can you give the audience some background context in your journey in UX research?
Yes, sure. My journey into UX research has been convoluted. When I started in software engineering, so building and programming, designing games and code. And then it was around the time that, industrial revolution of like the web, internet, technology. And so I started to explore what would it mean for other industries to embrace technology, just like gaming and entertainment industry. So started to look into health IT, healthcare industry as in general, and started to explore banking and some of those industries that were ripe for transformation. So whilst I was getting that additional training in grad school, I started to do more of like fellowships and getting to sit with product teams to see how they build. So that was like a dual path where still in academia, looking at, continual studies, human behavior, but getting that practical experience in working with product teams, design teams to really build for the human experience.
Mhm.
So throughout time, I have worked in industries like SaaS, fintech, banking. And what I'm doing right now is I lead research teams, researchers, ops folks, and insights folks to really look at the human experience in products, and the way that we think about what to build and how we build it. I'm currently at Gusto as the global head of research and insights, and my teams look at big, business problems or customer problems and how we can really tease out those insights from research studies or Dex research, or even triangulating insights from all our collection points to understand and de-risk the decisions that we make as we are building for our users. So that's where I am today. But I started off as a researcher trying to figure out how humans interact with technology. And now I lead research and insight teams.
That's awesome. That's a super cool journey. And I definitely have a bunch of questions. I think my first one is around collaboration with research. I think sometimes researchers are seen as often a lab doing their own thing. Like, how do you encourage the team to collaborate with product design or other stakeholders throughout the research process?
That's a good question. And I think that research as a function has been going through identity crisis, right? I always empower my teams to really seek out, initiate, and nurture those trusting relationship with others. It's easy because if you look at our history as researchers or product design researchers or customer experience researchers, we really started off in kind of engineering where we came in to do usability tests and tested things that were already built. And slowly we moved into really helping with design strategy, how designers go through the design process. And so we have shifted from this like isolated come in, like contractor feel of come in and help us like triage or mitigate the risks that we see
Mhm.
into being part of a design process. And now you see a lot of teams in design orgs. And so it's not lost on me that the feeling of, okay, we're waiting for something to happen or for us to be called upon to come and do our one thing or to just like create a deck or report.
I think one of the questions I have that seems difficult at such a big company is like what to research. Like, there's business needs, there's customer needs, those aren't always aligned. And then there's product prioritization, there's engineering prioritization. So how do you kind of like triage, hey, this is what we're doing now, here's why?
I think the first step or the thing that I do is to elevate all the conversation into what is the business North Star? Because I sincerely believe that no business is set up to ignore the customer experience.
Right.
And so anytime I have this conversation and we elevate a conversation from engineering versus, customer strategy versus design to what are our business goals or the top thing that the business cares about, it really helps us think through what we want and what we want research to do, to really help us get to the same bottom line or baseline. And in that case, you eliminate like competing factors, or you eliminate the way that folks see how the KPIs are set up. For example, at Gusto, as the head of research and insights, I don't just focus on researchers or research teams delivering insights. I have three main pillars. And I think that has worked well for me in the last 10 years, where we have customer empathy program. Like anyone that works at Gusto should be enabled and empowered to go on this journey, a collective company-wide journey to have customer empathy, which means engaging in activities, getting all the resources and the playbooks and the templates that will help you understand the customer experience by listening to them, by shadowing them, by listening to recordings. However your journey takes you, you should be able to do that. And then the second pillar is to present all the operational overhead. Like, we know research doesn't come easily to folks, but it's also expensive in terms of bandwidth and cost. So what are the things that we can do to grant access, to give the right tooling, to train? And then lastly, we focus on, high risk, high strategy user research that are dedicated research teams are best equipped to lead. And this does three things. The first is it helps everybody understand that customer empathy and getting to eradicating like customer pain or building a customer experience is everyone's problem, right? We are all on this journey. And so when those conversations about like who needs research, what are my priorities are, we fall to the baseline of, does it improve the customer experience? Does it help with our profits, or does it really streamline the processes that we're currently going through?
I have a question about strategy, which is another area of the business you're involved in. How should UX research or design folks think about strategy? Like, how can they influence strategy?
So when we think about strategy, we usually reserve that for like the biz dev team or the contracts team or the team that is responsible for marketing or revenue or sales. But I think that researchers or the research org or research leaders have to take a step back and think about the various ways that we can drive strategy. Streamlining stuff. Businesses can run better if we streamline the way that we identify problems, streamline the way that we attack them or address them or solve them. The second is driving strategy by helping increase profits, right? Companies really think about two ways, whether increasing profit by getting more money through sales and revenue, or saving a lot in the bank. And so if researchers or the research org can think about ways to save company money, increase cash reserves, or help companies meet their ARR goals or sales goals or revenue goals, that is something that can help drive strategy, because at the end of the day, companies are set up to exist as companies, make money, but also solve customer problems. And then the last way that I think we are inching closer to is to really solve problems around people.
Gloria, what advice do you have for new researchers that might be entering the field today?
Start early and often to initiate conversations, initiate, nurture, and build relationship. I think we've been far off. I've said it, in our conversation, far off trying to figure out what design goals are. But we need to look bigger. We need to look at the business goals and really expand our offerings, which we have a lot to offer, to the business strategy. So nurture those relationships, someone on marketing, someone on customer support, someone on an ERG group, someone on the people team. Nurture those relationships. If nothing at all, understand how their slice of the pie, spreads out to the overarching company goals. So look at what you're doing and how that affects, the overarching goals.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that advice. And Gloria, thanks so much for coming on the series today.
Oh yeah, Alex, anytime. This was fantastic. Thanks for inviting me.